But in the first turn of the game, the first action that we perform is to discover a threat. So we just reveal the top threat from the deck, and it is a healer. So the healer has a special effect. When played, we gain 1 spirit, but we're already at maximum 20 spirit, so that's not going to have an impact on us at this time. Her stat that we're going to use is influence, and she has 5 influence, so we need 5 influence to overcome her and defeat her. If we don't, her presence is going to drain us of 1 spirit every round, so we need to tackle the threats as quickly as possible when they come into play. At the start of the player's turn, the Veilwraith's turn, we draw 1 memory from our memory deck, and this is in our hand, and this is a memory of blood. We can play this at any time to give us an extra 2 fight. We don't need to fight the healer, we need to influence her. So this isn't going to be useful at this point in time, but it will be useful against other threats. There are 2 major types of threats: Deja, which are lost spirits and souls meandering through the veil, and there are Anima, which are malicious spirits and servants of the Archfiend of Maskelaw, who are coming to get you. And so there are different ways of tackling those guys. But for now we're going to bank this. We can have up to 6 cards in our hand at once. So we're just going to put this to one side. And now we're going to have to try and think about tackling this. So during your turn you can perform 1 action. You can either explore or fight or influence. Our influence is currently 3 and she has an influence of 5. So we can't tackle her at this time. So every action has an alternative. Instead of exploring, fighting or influence, all of these actions have the possibility to use them to draw an extra memory. So I'm going to do that right now. So my action for the turn is going to be to use the explore to draw an extra memory card, which in this case is a memory of redemption, which does give us +2 influence. Now if we still had an action, we would be able to then tackle her with 3 influence from the action, +2 influence from the memory for a total of 5 to be able to defeat the healer. However, our action for this turn has been to explore, so we're done for the turn. So I'm going to keep that in my hand and know that next turn we can take her on. Also during a turn, you are able to tilt 1 action, which is not quite using it, but it's powering up for next time in anticipation of a future move. So to tilt it, instead of turning it fully sideways, you just turn it 45 degrees and you add 1 power token to it. So this is what I mentioned briefly before. The next time we use this action, we can remove the power token to increase it by 1. And that's the end of the player turn. At the end of the round, any threats in play deal their damage in spirit. So we're going to lose 1 spirit from the healer, ironically. Okay, so her presence has drained us of 1. Then you reset everything at the end of the turn, so we're going to untilt these and draw a new threat, so it's a new round begins. And here we have a Hobgoblin, and he has the Harry ability. When played, shuffle your discard pile into your deck, but we don't have a discard pile yet, so we've dodged a bullet there. And then it's our go, so we draw a memory. Here we've got the Memory of Heart. We can use this to play 1 additional action in a turn. So there is a possibility we might be able to tackle both of these threats in 1 round. Let's see if we can manage that. So, for the healer, we need 5 influence to defeat. We have 3 in our action. We have a potential bonus 1 from the power token that we placed on the influence action. And we have a bonus 2 from this Memory of Redemption. So I'm going to save that power token for later. And I'm going to play Memory of Redemption. So I'm just going to put this here to note that I've played it. I'm going to use this action, which is going to give me 3 influence +2 for a total of 5, which means the healer has been defeated. So she's getting to get chucked out of play into the threat discard pile. She also has a bonus effect, which when you defeat her, you gain 1 spirit, so we can get the spirit back that we lost previously. Now, when you use an action, it moves to the bottom of the action power track. We used the Explore action last round to draw a card, but because it was already at the bottom, we didn't need to move it. But now that we've used Influence, this is going to move to the bottom of the action power track, and as it does, it pushes the other 2 actions up. So now our Influence is down to 1, plus the 1 from the power token here. We can also tilt an action, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to tilt explore to add one power token to it, so the next time we explore we can use that. But we also have this memory of heart memory. So I'm going to use this to gain one additional available action this turn. So I'm going to discard this, and we'll just put memories that played this round to one side, because there are effects that can shuffle your discard pile into your deck, as we saw with the Harry. So we're going to keep these in play until the end of the round, then they all get discarded. So this allows us to use one additional action, and we're going to use fight. And our basic fight is 3, which is what we need to defeat the Hobgoblin. So I'm going to use that fight action, defeat him, he gets taken out of play, and the fight action goes to the bottom of the action power track and pushes these two back up. So our influence is already back to 2 again. At the end of the round, there are no threats in play to do any damage to our spirit, so we're okay. We're just going to discard these 2 cards, reset everything here, and start a new round. And we're going to draw a new threat card. So here we have a pariah. He's an outcast. If we defeat this card, we place it in our discard pile, and if we draw that card, we just have to discard it straight away. So he's going to clog up our deck with a potentially useless effect if we defeat him. If we don't defeat him, each round he's going to deal us 2 damage worth of spirit. So at the start of our go, we get to draw a Veilwraith memory card. Here we've got the Memory of Cold. This allows us to ignore a spirit cost 1 threat this round. So he's a spirit cost 2 threat, so it wouldn't work on him, but it would have worked on either the Hobgoblin or the healer. But we're not going to need that effect because this pariah is fairly easy to take care of. He's only got 1 influence. So I'm going to use the influence action, which gives us 2 influence, more than enough to defeat him. The extra 1 is just lost. So this action goes to the bottom and pushes fight up, and we defeat the pariah. And now we can tilt one of our actions as well. So I'm going to tilt fight because we've got the power token in each of the others, and we're going to keep that in play. And then at the end of the round, we're going to reset everything and draw a new Veilwraith threat. And here we have a fighter, Bruise. When it's played, remove 1 power token from your influence action. So we have to discard this power token here. Then at the start of our turn, we draw a memory. And here we have Memory of Creation. This will heal us 1 spirit. So now we have to fight the fighter. So we've got the fight action here. At the moment it's at 2. If we use the power token, it will be at 3, and we need 4 to defeat him. However, if we discard Memory of Blood, this will give us a bonus 2. So I'm going to use that now to give us 2, plus 2 from the action is 4. And remember, when you use an action, it pushes the other one up, and that defeats the fighter. And then I'm going to tilt an action. I'm going to tilt influence to get that one back that we lost. Then we discard Memory of Blood, reset everything, and it's a new round. So play plays very quickly, and we're going to just keep searching for the first key. And at the moment we've managed to keep all the threats in check, which is either lucky or extremely skillful play. So the first threat from the next round is another Hobgoblin. So he forces us to shuffle our discard pile into our deck. Well, I've already cocked up once. This pariah, when we defeated him, he should have gone into our discard pile. And now, because of the Hobgoblin effect, he's going to be shuffled into our deck. And if we draw him as our memory for the turn, we just discard him straight away, so it's kind of a waste. So this Hobgoblin has 2 fight. And looking at our action power track here, I think we're going to be okay. We're going to draw a memory at the start of the turn. Here we've got the Memory of Knowledge. This allows us to swap any 2 actions on the power track, so we could swap fight for explore, for example. So we're going to hang on to that for the time being. I'm going to fight this Hobgoblin. So we're going to use the fight action, which gives us 1, and discard 1 power token to increase it by 1 to 2, which is all we need to defeat this Hobgoblin and send his evil essence out of the Veil forever. Then we can tilt 1 action. You can't tilt an action that's already used. So I'm going to go for Explore. Explore we've not come across yet, but that's used to gather keys. So I'm hoping there's a key not too far off the first of the 5 keys. Then at the end of the round, we're going to reset everything and draw the next threat, which is, of course, the Key of Sight. So this isn't going to damage us. We are after exploring. We want to we want to gain this key basically, and it's got 6 explore to defeat it. In terms of threats coming out of the threat deck, this buys us 1 turn of no damage because it doesn't actually do damage to us, it heals us if we are able to get that key. So at the start of my go, I'm going to draw a card, which is a Memory of Home. And what do you know, it's +1 to explore. Okay, that's very convenient. So the Key of Sight has a explore value of 6. We've got 3 at the moment, so explore is in the top slot of the action power track. So if I use that action, that gives me 3. I'm going to spend both of these power tokens to increase it up to 5. And I'm going to play Memory of Home to increase it to 6, which is just enough to get us the Key of Sight, which I'm going to add to my display down here, to my play area. So that gets discarded, and before the end of the round we can tilt 1 action. I'm going to tilt Fight here, because that's the only one of these 2 which doesn't have a power token. And it's the end of the round, so we will reset these. And it's a new round, so we get a new threat, and here we go, it's a Fighter. Bruised. When played, remove a power token from your influence action. Okay, well that's gone. We're going to draw a card at the start of our go, which is Memory of Home. It's the same one we played last turn, it gives us +1 to explore. But of course the Fighter wants a fight now. Our fight is in the lowest slot possible, so our current fight is level 1. We can add 1 to it from the power token here to give us 2 fight, and we need 5. So let's have a quick look at our hand and see what else we can do. So first of all, we can ignore a spirit, cost 1 threat this round. So we could ignore him and stop him from doing any damage to us. That's one option. We've got a bonus explore. We don't need that right now. We can heal 1. We don't need that right now. Or we can swap any 2 actions on the action power track. Now, if we played this, we could swap the fight action into the number 3 slot. We could swap it for explore. So that will give us 3 +1 from the power token for a total of 4. And we need 5 to defeat him, and you have to do it all in one go, so that's not going to work. So I think we will opt to draw a card. So I'm going to use the influence action. So I'm going to turn that sideways and put it to the bottom of the track to draw a card. As I said, all of the actions can be used to do that, to draw a card instead of doing a regular action like fight, influence, or explore. So I've drawn Memory of Might. Look at that, that's exactly what we need to try and take him on. Okay, let's see if we can do this round. So I'm going to play Memory of Knowledge, which allows us to swap any 2 actions on the action power track. So let's swap Explore and Fight. This now gives us 3 fight, +1 from the power token, and we've got this Memory of Might as well, which gives us another 1 for a total of 5, which is going to be enough to defeat him. However, we've already played our action this turn, which was Influence. So ordinarily we wouldn't be able to do another action in the same round. But we have the Key of Sight, and the Key of Sight remains in play until you use it. This has the ability to tilt it to use 1 additional available action. So I'm going to tilt that like this. So once you've tilted a key, you can never use it again for the rest of the game. But it will allow us to use 1 additional action. And of course that action is going to be to fight. So I'm going to use the fight action for 3. This goes to the bottom of the track. I'm going to spend 1 power token to make it 4. And I'm going to throw the Memory of Might into the mix to give us a total of 5 fight, which is enough to defeat the fighter's 5 fight value. So he is off to the discard pile. And we've used a couple of cards there. We've used our key, and keys have 2 special abilities. One of them is always to tilt it, which we just used, which in this case is using additional action. It also has another ability which we can use later in the game. We can flip this particular Key of Sight to gain 1 to our explore value. So we're going to bank that for later, but that stays in play. This is our hand, this is in our hand, but the keys always stay in play until you use them. So we can still tilt an action this turn. Obviously the only action here we've got to tilt is explore. So I'm going to do that now and add a power token to it. And then at the end of the round, reset everything. And it's a new round. The keys, when tilted, never reset. Okay, so at the start of the next round, we're going to draw a new threat. Here we have a Goblin. He's a coward. If we defeat him, we'll remove him from the game. That's his special ability. Which doesn't sound so special, but that actually means Once you've removed him from the game, their threat deck is going to get smaller. So when you do reshuffle it and these discarded cards go back into the deck, the Archfiend is going to become nearer to the top of the deck because the goblins have vanished. So at the start of our go, we're going to draw a card. And here we have the Memory of Blood, which will give us +2 to our fight value, which it looks like, yep, this is some incredible shuffling. This is exactly what we need. Sorry for the camera shake there. So we have 1 fight at the moment. We've got no power tokens on there to increase it. None of these cards are going to help it. But we do have the Memory of Blood. So we're going to use the fight action, which gives us 1, plus the Memory of Blood, which gives us a bonus of 2, for a total of 3. And the goblin has 2 fight value. So we've cleared him off and he's removed from the game. And we can also tilt 1 action. So I'm going to tilt Influence and discard that. End of the round, we're going to reset. And it's the next round. What threat is coming after us now? We have another Pariah. Okay, so these are the ones, if we defeat a Pariah, it's going to go into our discard pile and clog it up with these useless cards. So at the start of our go, I'm going to draw a card. It's a Memory of Creation. We've got 2 of these, those are going to allow us to heal if we take damage. But let's see if we can get through this without taking any more damage. Okay, so we need 3 influence to defeat this guy. We only have 2 at the moment, but we do have a power token. So we are sorted. So I'm going to use the action to give us 2 plus 1 is 3. Defeat the Pariah and put him into our discard pile, our memory discard pile. And then I can tilt 1 action. I'm going to tilt Fight because we've already got 1 on Explore. And it's the end of the round. Reset. Draw a new threat. So you can see how quickly we're progressing through here. And it's a new key, the Key of Power. This has an Explore value of 5. So let's see if we can get that this turn. We're going to draw a memory. Here we've got the Memory of Honor, which is going to give us Influence. So we currently have an Explore value of 3, plus 1 from the power token, and what do you know? Memory of Honor. So I'm going to play this Memory of Honor, gives us a bonus of 1. So we've got 3, plus 1 from the power token, plus 1 from the Memory of Home, for a total of 5. Let's push that to the bottom of there. And we've got our next key, the Key of Power. So we've got 2 keys now. We need 5 keys to discover the portal and try to escape. We can also tilt 1 action, so we're going to tilt Influence, and then end the round, reset, and draw a new threat. And here we have a Mystic. When played, reveal threats until we reveal a key. Put it into play, shuffle and replace the rest back into the threat deck. So we're going to keep revealing now until I get a key. And here we are, the Key of Love has come into play. I'm going to shuffle both of these and put them back on top of the threat deck. And all I need to do is not remember which one was which. Done. Okay, so the Mystic is going to do 2 damage to us each turn. We need 5 Influence to defeat her, and we need 4 Explore to discover the Key of Love. So we currently have 2 Influence. We can gain 1 from the power token. We have in our hand a further 1 Influence. So that's going to give us 2 from the power track, 1 from the power token, and 1 from here for a total of 4, but we need 5 to defeat her. And I think I know how we can do this, okay? So we're going to use the Fight action to draw a card. So we're just going to use this, put it to the bottom of the track, and that's going to push the Influence up to the top there. And it allows us to draw a memory. And it's the Memory of Veil. It's going to give us +2 to our Explore value. So we'll keep that to one side. And now we're going to tackle the Mystic. So you notice that the Influence is now at the 3 spot on the power track. So we've got 3 Influence, +1 from the power token, +1 from the Memory of Honor, for a total of 5. We have used an action this round, but we have a second key here. So we can tilt this to use 1 additional available action. So we're going to use Influence. So we've got 3 Influence from that, 1 from the power token, 1 from the Memory of Honor, for a total of 5. We've defeated the Mystic. Okay, and the Key of Love remains in play. It's not going to do damage to us, it's going to heal us if we get it back. We're going to discard the Memory of Honor. And we can tilt 1 action. which is going to be Explore. And then we reset for the next round. So we've tilted both of our keys now. They still have their flip abilities. This one, you can flip it to gain +1 Fight. The Key of Power, the Key of Sight, you can flip it to gain +1 Explore. So it's the next round. We're going to draw a new threat, and we have another Mystic. So she's going to pull out the next key for us. Her reveal ability is to reveal threats until you get to a key. Oh, we've just gone past the Goblin King, so the boss is in here as well. You also have to defeat any bosses in the deck to escape the level, to escape the vignette, as they're called. Oh, look at that. We now have 2 keys. We've got 2 more in play. Okay, and at the start of our turn, we're going to draw another memory. It's the memory of Veil, so that's going to add 2 to our Explore. So, the Mystic is the only one who's going to be damaging us this turn. We need 4 influence to defeat her. We can do... we can't do this turn. So we're going to Explore to try and get one of these keys. The Key of Love has an Explore value of 4, the Key of Light has an Explore value of 8. Okay, but we can do that. We have 2 Memories of Veil. Each of these adds +2 to our Explore value. So our current Explore is 3. So we're going to use the action. +1 from the power token for 4. +4 from using 2 Memories of Veils. You can use as many memories as you like, whenever you like. Which gives us a total of 8 Explore. We'll put those at different points in the discard pile to split those clumps for a good shuffling later. So that's given us 8 Explore, so we've gained the Key of Light. And this is going to go to the bottom of the deck, the bottom of the action power track. And then we can tilt 1 action. So we're going to tilt Influence in anticipation of tackling the Mystic next round. And we could use 1 additional action now that we've got the Key of Light, but we're not going to have enough influence. So we're not going to use that just yet. So at the end of the round, we now have a threat in play that's going to do damage to us. So we're going to lose 2 Spirit. So this could be where it starts to go pear-shaped, but we shall see. Let's see if we can tackle her next turn. So at the end of the round, we're going to reset and draw a new threat. Okay, the Enforcer. Grapple. When played, remove 1 power token from your fight action. So that's gone. And then we're going to draw a new memory. Here we've got a Memory of Might, which is going to give us +1 fight. Could be useful against that Enforcer. Although we already have enough to tackle him. Oh no, don't we? He needs influence. He needs influence rather than fight. Okay, so now we're in a pickle because both of these need influence values to defeat. Our influence is currently hovering around the middle of the track at a not so brilliant 2. But we do have a power token on here. He has 3 influence and we have 2 + 1 is 3. So we can defeat the Enforcer, but not the Mystic, and she's the one who's going to do 2 damage to us every turn, whereas he's only doing 1. Okay, well, first of all, we're going to play the 2 Memories of Creation, which both heal us for 1 spirit. So that gets us those 2 spirit back. Then we're going to take out the Enforcer. No, okay. We will play Memory of Cold. Ignore a spirit cost 1 threat this round. So I'm going to just tilt him to show that we're ignoring him. We've frozen him out for this round. We need to push the influence up the track to make it more powerful so we can take out the Mystic. So I'm going to use the fight action, not to fight, but to draw a card. So I'll push that to the bottom. Draw a memory. Here we've got Memory of Knowledge. Swap any 2 actions on the action power track. Okay, well, we don't need to do that just yet. So now I'm going to use the Key of Light to use 1 additional available action. So I'm going to tilt that. So we've used the tilt power on all 3 of our keys. And I'm going to use the influence action. Our influence is 3. So I'm going to use that +1 from the power token for a total of 4. Goes to the bottom of the track. And of course 4 is enough to defeat the Mystics. She is off. Put that to the bottom as well because there's a Mystic there. Split the clumps for shuffling. Don't like 2 copies of a card to be next to each other in a discard pile because when you shuffle, they're more likely to come together. That's just a bit of OCD. So I can tilt one action. I'm going to tilt the Explore, but also I'm going to use the flip power of the Key of Light, which allows us to draw one memory. So I'm going to flip that over. So that is now used up for this scenario. We can't use this key again. I'm going to put it on here next to the portal to remind us. We now have 1, 2, 3 keys. We need 2 more before the portal will come into play. So that's allowed us to draw a card. Here we've got Memory of Redemption. This is going to give us +2 to our influence value when we play it. And it's the end of that round. He has been ignored by the Memory of Cold, which we played earlier. So we don't take any spirit damage this turn, so we're going to reset everything, including him, but never the keys. And it's a new round, so we get the next threat, which is Hobgoblin Harry. When played, shuffle your discard pile into your deck. So that'll give us that cold Memory of Cold back, but it's also going to shuffle in the Pariahs. So there's more chance of those guys coming back round. Okay, just going to double check I didn't miss any Pariahs earlier. Oh, we're good. Okay, so we now have a Hobgoblin in play who has 2 fight, and we have an Enforcer who has 3 influence, and we have a few cards that can help us out here. Just getting used to this stand, sorry if I keep nudging it. So we're going to, let's see if we can tackle both of them. I don't think we can. We've used up our keys' abilities to use extra actions, which is really useful. However, what if we get a key this turn? Okay, so let's aim for the Key of Love. We need 4 Explore. We have 3 plus 1 from this power token, so we're going to use Explore. 3 plus 1 is 4. We've got 4 Explore. We're going to gain the Key of Love, which has 4 Explore. And we can tilt one action. So I'm going to tilt Influence. So you can always use 1 action and 1 tilt. But then I'm going to use the Key of Love to gain use 1 additional action. And this is going to be Fight. So we use 3 Fight against the Hobgoblin who needs 2. So he is toast. Fight goes to the bottom of the track. And then it's the end of the round. He's going to do 1 damage to us. So we lose 1 spirit. And we reset everything. It's the next round. Next threat is another Enforcer. Okay, when played, remove 1 power token from your fight action. We don't have one there. And we're going to draw a card. Draw a memory. You draw a memory at the start of each turn. I think I might have missed one in the last round, but here we are. Okay, so we've got the Memory of Home. This gives us +1 to our Explore value. Okay, but we need influence for both of these guys. They differ slightly. This Enforcer has 4 influence. This one only has 3. So we probably want to tackle the more difficult one first. We have 3 influence, +1 from the power token, so let's go for that now. 3 plus 1 is 4. Use that influence action to get rid of the Enforcer. And I'm going to tilt Explore in anticipation of the final key. We've got 3 keys here, +1 there. So we've got 4 keys. We only need 1 more key to summon the portal and try to escape from the Lost Ruins, which is the vignette that we're playing against. We're going to take 1 damage from this dude. And it's a new round. So we reset everything and draw a new threat. We have a Hobgoblin. When played, shuffle your discard pile into your deck. We don't have a discard pile. We're going to draw a card. It's a Pariah. So when we draw this, we just have to discard it. So no new memories this turn. Okay, the Hobgoblin has 4 fights. The Enforcer has 3 influence. They're both doing 1 spirit damage. Who are we going to take out first? I think we can get rid of the Enforcer. So he has 3 influence. Actually, I'm going to go for the Hobgoblin. He's got 4 fights. I've only got 2, but I can use the flip power from the Key of Power to gain +1 fight. So that's 2. +1 from the Key of Power, which is now used. It was already tilted. Now it's flipped. Both of its powers are used. So that's given us 3 +1 from the Memory of Might for a total of 4, which is enough to defeat the Hobgoblin. and send him away. And that moves that to there. We can tilt one action. I'm going to tilt influence in anticipation of influencing the enforcer next round. And we're going to have to take 1 damage from him this turn. Okay, and then we reset. We draw a new threat. And here's a healer. Okay, and her abilities when played gain a spirit. So she's quite confused in her role as a spirit meandering through the twisted, broken Vannalands of the land of Veilwraith, and she's unwittingly or otherwise healed us 1 spirit. But she's going to do damage each turn until we defeat her. So we're going to draw a memory. This is the memory of home. It's going to give us +1 to our explore action. Okay, but as you can see now, we're in a situation where we've got 2 threats each round. We've run out of our use 1 additional action options because we've used them all on the keys. We don't have the cards that let us use additional actions, so we're going to be able to only tackle these 1 at a time. The influence value on the healer is 4, it's 3 on the enforcer, so we should probably prioritise the healer. Also, if we defeat her, she has 1 damage around, but she also has 1 heal. You heal 1 spirit if you defeat her. So we're going to try and take her out first. So we've got 2 influence here. I'm going to keep the power token on there. You don't have to use power tokens when you use that action. So that gives us 2. And I'm going to play the Memory of Redemption for another 2 influence for a total of 4, which defeats the healer, which restores 1 spirit from her action. I'm going to discard this. This moves to the bottom of the action power track and pushes fight up. We're going to tilt fight. And then we're going to take 1 spirit damage from the enforcer. And it's the next round. We get a new threat. Here's a goblin. It's the coward. If we defeat it, we remove it from the game. And we draw a memory, which is the memory of cold. We can ignore 1 of these threats this turn. So I will play that now. We're going to ignore the enforcer. And then we need 3 fight to tackle the goblin, which is looking good. We've got 2 fight here. 2 +1 from the power token. It's 3. So we defeated him. He's out of the game. And we don't have to take damage from the enforcer this turn because we froze him out. We can tilt 1 action. I'm going to tilt explore just in case. And then we reset and draw a new threat. It's another enforcer. Move 1 power token from your fight action. We don't have 1 on the fight action at the moment. Our new memory for the turn is Memory of Honor. It's going to give us +1 influence. Okay, well, we do need influence to tackle these guys. Your maximum hand size is 6. I've been managing to stay below it so far this game. So I'm going to use 2 influence +1 from the Memory of Honor to defeat 1 of these enforcers. I'm going to tilt fight to add a power token, and then we're going to take 1 damage from this other enforcer. So it's slowly whittling away at us now. Okay, and then at the end of the round I'm going to reset everything, draw a new threat. We've got the pariah. Okay, and our new memory is a Memory of Honor. It gives us +1 to our influence. Our influence is right at the bottom, and both of these are influence threats. Okay, so we're going to play the Memory of Knowledge, swap any 2 actions on the action power track. And then I'm going to use influence as the action for 3, +1 from the Memory of Honor for a total of 4, and that's going to defeat this pariah, which unfortunately goes into our discard pile to clog up our memories. And that's going to move to the bottom of the action power track. Then we can tilt 1 of these. I'm going to tilt fight again, so these have got an even number of power tokens. You can have a maximum of 5 power tokens on each of these. We're in no danger of troubling that limit at this stage. But we have 2 in here, 2 on fight, 2 on explore, and 1 on influence at the moment. We're going to take 1 spirit damage from this enforcer. And then reset. Next round, we're running closer towards the end of the deck now. We've got another pariah. Okay, and our memory is the Memory of Veil, +2 to our explore. So we've got plenty of explore here, but no key. So how do we take these guys out? Well, we've got 1 influence here. So I'm going to use the influence action that gives us 1, +1 from the power token, and I'm going to use the Key of Love to flip it to gain +1 influence for a total of 3, which is going to get rid of this enforcer. I'm going to tilt fight to add a power token to that, and there's nothing we can do about this guy. You know what, I shouldn't have got rid of the Enforcer. The Enforcer was doing 1 damage around, the Pariah is doing 2. So probably not an optimal move. Okay, but we'll take 2 damage and we'll suffer the consequences. Reset everything. Next round, new threat, the healer. Okay, so when she comes in, we gain 1 spirit back. We've got a new memory of blood. Neither of these are fighters. We don't have any influence in our hand. We've only got 1 influence down here now. We need to push it up the track, so we're going to use fight to draw a card. So we're going to push this to the bottom of the action power track. We've got a memory and hope it's a good one. Swap any 2 actions on the action power track. Okay, well let's do that now. And swap influence for explore. So we've got influence at the top. And then we can tilt 1 action, so we'll tilt influence. That's going to give us 4, so we're ready to take on the healer next turn. And in the meantime, we're going to take 2 damage from the Pariah and 1 from the healer, so we're going to lose 3 spirit this turn. So yeah, things are stacking up now. Okay, so we'll reset everything. Next round, another threat comes into play. It's the Goblin King Bloodline. His ability is defeat him to gain 2 power tokens. However, with bosses, most bosses, they have 2 values which you have to defeat both of them. So he has 6 influence and 6 fight. And this is where things could start to go south. Okay, so our new memory is Memory of Creation. It heals us 1 spirit, so I'm going to just play that straight away. Discard that to gain 1 spirit. And this is a bonus to explore. Yeah. Well, okay, hang on. So we could fight the boss. And we need to get rid of this Pariah who's doing 2. Probably shouldn't have shoved this up to 4 because I was thinking about tackling the healer. When I should have been thinking about tackling him. And we have the Goblin King as well. Even though fight is in the 1 spot on the action power track, we've got 3 power tokens plus the Memory of Blood. So we do have 6 fights, so we can take out his first fight action, but then it means at the end of the round, we're going to be taking a total of 5 damage. And we don't really have much spirit to deal with all of that. But if we don't do it, the longer he stays in play, the worse it's going to get. And if we do defeat him, we gain 2 power tokens. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use the fight action, which gives us 1, plus 3 power tokens, spending all of those in one go, for a total of 4, plus the Memory of Blood, 5, 6, gives us enough to take out his fight ability. So now we need to influence 6 on the Goblin King to finish him off. We can't do a second action, but we can tilt the influence for next round. And then we're going to take 5 damage. Yeah. Then we reset everything, and it's a new round, and we get a new threat, which is the Key of Valor. Okay, so this is the final key. We've got 3 keys that we've used completely. We've got 1 key here, the Key of Sight, which still gives us +1 to our Explore value. And we have just drawn the Memory of Creation, which heals us for 1 spirit, so we'll play that straight away to get 1 spirit. And we are going to, what we're going to do? Okay, so let's try and get that key. So its value is 7. So we have 2 Explore, so I'm going to use 2. I'm going to flip this key to gain 1 for a total of 3. And that's used up now, we've used 4 keys. So we've got 3 Explore. I'm going to discard some of these. We need 7. So we've got 2. Memory of Veil is +2. Memory of Home is +1. And Memory of Home again is +1. So that gives us a +4. So 2 from that, 1 from the key, +4 from our cards for a total of 7. Boom! We have the final key, the Key of Valor. And as soon as we gain the Key of Valor, that's the 5th key, as soon as you gain it, the portal comes into play. And now we're going to have to try and escape through this portal to win the game. But we can't escape until we've defeated the boss, which is the Goblin King. We need 6 influence to defeat the Goblin King. We have 3, +2 from the power tokens is 5. That's not enough to defeat it this round. We can use 1 additional action. but the Pariah needs influence, the Healer needs influence, and the Goblin King needs influence to defeat. So if we use influence on either of these two, that's going to put us down to the bottom of the track for when we need to defeat the Goblin King next turn. So I think the only thing we can do right now, so I'm going to tilt influence to gain 1 power token. So our influence is 3 at the moment, sorry, 3 from the power track plus 3 from the token. So we do have 6 influence, but we've already used an action this turn. I could use 1 additional action by using the Key of Valor's ability, but because this is tilted, we couldn't use influence. The only additional action I'd be able to do is fight. None of these need fight. So we are just going to have to take an enormous punch from the Pariah for 2, the Healer for 1, and the Goblin King for 2, for a total of 5. So we'll lose 5 spirit at the end of this round, okay? Which puts us down to 4. And then we reset, and it's a new round. Okay, so we get a new threat, which is a fighter. Bruise. When played, remove 1 power token from your influence action. That's pretty annoying, because we had enough to defeat the Goblin King then, and now we no longer do. Let's hope this is an influence memory. So our memory for the turn is Memory of Blood. It's a fight. Ugh. Okay. Hooby-dooby-doo. So, 5 influence. We could draw a card. It'd be a really risky strategy to draw a card and hope it's amazing. But I think we're going to be in trouble here. The only one we can safely defeat is the fighter because he uses fight value, and we want to keep our influence as high as possible. We happen to have enough because we've got 2 fight from the action. We've got Memory of Blood, which gives us a bonus 2, so that will give us 4 to be able to defeat the fighter. So let's do that for the time. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to use the fight action to draw a card. It's a huge gamble. But if it gives us influence, we could be able to defeat the Goblin King. Right, so we're drawing a card, Memory. It's Fight. It's the Memory of Might, which gives us +1 to Might. Okay, so now we are in a serious pickle. That could have been a losing move. I think it is. The only thing we can do is influence one of these out of the game. We could get rid of the Healer. So we're going to use the Key of Valor. We're going to tilt that to use 1 additional action. We're going to influence 3. +1 for 4 to defeat the Healer. She gives us +1 spirit when she's defeated. Then I'm going to use the flip ability of the Key of Valor to gain 1 spirit. And then I'm going to tilt Explore. And then I'm going to take 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. We have 6 spirit. So we're down to 1. And then reset everything. It's the next round. So this needs to be some kind of amazing combo. So the first threat is the Mystic. So she's going to reveal the next key. There is no new key, so we just ignore that ability. My memory for the turn is ignore a spirit, cost 1 threat this round. Okay, we are toast. So what I was trying to do, I mean, ideally, if we'd have been able to swap influence up for Explore and move that on the track or gain an influence card, you know, we were just in trouble then. So we can, I mean, we'll play through the turn to show what happens. I'm going to use influence to draw a card, which is the Pariah, so we just discard that straight away. And I could tilt the fight action, and then we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage, and we've got 1 spirit, so we are toast. Our essence has been destroyed. We didn't even get to see the Archfiend shuffled into the threat deck because we were destroyed before it ran out. So I mean, if we'd have had we were 1 influence away from defeating the Goblin King. If we'd have defeated the Goblin King, the portal would have become available, and then we could have used the Explore value to try and escape through the portal. The Explore value is given on the scenario card. In this case, it would have been 3, which isn't too difficult. As it is, we failed that, unfortunately. So we reset the game. It's a campaign game, so it's played over a series of vignettes. At the end of each vignette, you lose a ribbon, a silver ribbon, if you lose the game, which we did. You have 5 silver ribbons, which are going to be these made. I did the art myself. What do you think? Yeah, we're going to replace those. Those are going to be proper. But ribbon tokens, you have 5, so you can lose 5 scenarios. Since this is the first scenario of the campaign, it's probably better to just reset the whole campaign and start again. But if we did defeat the scenario, we could gain an additional a memory upgrade. So what that is we would basically choose a pair of memories in our memory deck and replace them. So here we have the memory of might, which gives us +1 might. Here we have the memory of blood, which gives us +2 might. So the memory of might is slightly weaker. So we could take the 2 memory of might cards, remove them from our deck permanently, and introduce 2 new memory upgrades, which are sitting over here. There's loads of different options. You could take memory of strength, for example, which is, it gives you 2 might. So already it's better than memory of might, which only gives you 1, but it also allows you to ignore a spirit cost 2 threat this round. And those upgrades become more powerful as you move through the game. So you're honing your deck slightly each time and improving your Veilwraith's ability, hopefully, to overcome the various Deja and Anima threats that are coming out of the threat deck, and overcoming the foes, grabbing the keys and trying to escape through the portal. But that's one scenario that's given you an example of how Veilwraith plays. I've probably taken longer to talk you through it than was necessary, but I wanted to go through all of the things that you can come up against in the first scenario. After you've defeated the first scenario, the composition of the threat deck changes, and you introduce new threats, new bosses, and obviously your Veilwraith deck is upgrading as you go along as well. So you have like a sense of improvement in terms of developing your own skills, but you also are coming up against increasingly more difficult threats. There are also other things you can upgrade throughout the course of play, including your action power track. So you can actually upgrade these tokens at certain points where your action power track becomes more powerful. So you could have 2, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 4, you know, and you can upgrade individual components of the way that you play as well. So also every single card has a unique ability. All of the threats that you're facing have a set of abilities that get gradually more and more complex as you go on. But that is the game in a nutshell. Thanks so much for watching if you made it this far, and please subscribe. We're going to be launching this hopefully in March this year, and we would love to see you on a Kickstarter.